So I recently sailed on the largest cruise ship on planet Earth, Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. This was my first time sailing with Royal Caribbean, so naturally I was extremely excited because I had always known them to be the variety cruise line. I also saw them as a line that would blow you away. It made you say, wow, they have this on a cruise ship? Now, of course, while on board, there were things that I loved and some things, well, I hated. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jay and welcome to The Ship Life. So I gotta say, I've been pretty fortunate to have a good variety of cruises under my belt. I've sailed with Carnival, MSC, Virgin Voyages, Bahamas Paradise, and now Royal Caribbean. I've also worked for Carnival and NCL as a crew member. Now, I did have a great time sailing on the inaugural sailing on the largest cruise ship on planet Earth, Wonder of the Seas, and I would put it in a close second place as far as my favorite cruise ship. Now, unfortunately, there were things that I did not like, and I honestly kind of hated about Wonder of the Seas, and I'm going to talk about it in today's video. Now, of course, before we sail into this video, I absolutely have to put the disclaimer out there because people can get a little sensitive when it comes to these types of topics. And yes, I'm talking to you, the loyal to Royal squad. I know how you guys can be. Look, there are pros and there are cons to literally everything in life, even if it's a cruise ship vacation. Also, this is the inaugural sailing, so I personally understand full well that there are going to be naturally kinks that need to be ironed out in the not so distant future for Royal Caribbean, especially being the largest cruise ship in the world. Also, some people are going to say that I can't judge by going on a cruise ship one time for a certain line. Well, personally, I beg to differ. I believe that if somebody's paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for an experience, then that company, be it a restaurant or in this particular case, a cruise line, has really one shot to woo everybody. Now, using this same logic, a lot of you have applied this whenever you sailed on maybe, I don't know, a MSC ship or an older Carnival ship, or the fact that you sailed with Royal one time and you've never been on another cruise line ever since. You became loyal to Royal. You get my point here. One more thing I want to point out, because I'm just as eager to get into this video as you probably are. A lot of you are going to ask, why am I always talking about the things that I hate versus the things that I love? Well, I try to look at the things that I think all of you would be interested in watching, and when I make these types of videos, you guys overwhelmingly prefer the things that I hate versus the things that I love. Now, I'm gonna make a video on both, so if you guys are coming here and getting angry about me making this video, make sure you watch the other one because, well, otherwise it just kind of looks bad on you. So easing into this video, the first thing that I hated about Wonder of the Seas was the Wi-Fi. So I would just say this, Royal Caribbean, if you're gonna call yourself the king of Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi, and you're gonna say you have quote unquote the fastest Wi-Fi at sea, you gotta commit, you gotta come with it. And to be honest with all of you, it was extremely disappointing as far as what I got for what I paid for. So here's the deal. Royal Caribbean, they have a couple different options for Wi-Fi. You have different tier systems like you typically do on a normal cruise, but there's like the Voom package where you can have regular internet, stuff like that. Then they have what's called like their deluxe package, which is like the Voom and Surf or Voom and Stream. This is the thing that I got. I paid $335.86 for both myself and my girlfriend Lauren to get, you know, the best Wi-Fi at sea, the fastest Wi-Fi at sea. And like I said, I was extremely sad with what I got. So I did unfortunately purchase everything on board when I got on the ship because I tried to buy it the day prior and I had other stuff going on. But either way, I ended up paying, I think it was like $30-something a day. Again, came out to $335.86. And for me, I already thought that was a little pricey, but I just assumed that for that price, I was legitimately going to get the fastest Wi-Fi at sea. Now, I'll be honest with you, at first, the Wi-Fi as a whole, when you kind of look at everything, it's not bad. It is pretty fast. And surprisingly, you can do things like even live stream most of the time. Now, overall, it took a while, which I'll go over in a second, but I was able to push out a whopping 16 videos and live streams while on board Wonder of the Seas, which for me, it still blows my mind that I was able to get that much content. But the thing is, the live streams often went great, surprisingly, even in places like Central Park on board the ship, which is like in the middle of the ship on deck 8. And then when I tried to upload a video, my uploads would take anywhere between 8 to 6 hours every time I wanted to upload, which caused a very big problem for me because I try to get my videos out in the afternoon time-ish. So what I would do is, because a lot of people like my nightlife content, I go to the club, party a little bit, do some head spins and backflips, and right after that I get some pizza at Sorrento's and start uploading my videos for the next 2 to 3 hours. So I would get like 2 to 3 hours of sleep every single night simply for the fact that I wanted to get my video edited and start the upload because I knew how long it would take. Now, to finish off this nitpicky topic and get to more interesting things, I will say this. When you stack Royal Caribbean's Wi-Fi to other cruise lines, now given I've heard that the Wi-Fi is better on other ships, however, my cruise prior to this Wonder of the Seas sailing was Virgin Voyages, and the Wi-Fi came included with your booking. And then on top of that, everybody on board had Wi-Fi. The crew had free Wi-Fi, which is not common. And the Wi-Fi was a lot better than what I paid for my over $300, almost $350 with Royal Caribbean. So I would just say Royal Caribbean, it's not worth the price. Maybe make it cheaper or do better, or I don't know. So moving on to number 2, there are too many hidden secrets on board Royal Caribbean ships. Now, I understand Wonder of the Seas in particular is an extremely massive ship. Well, it's the largest cruise ship on planet Earth. However, there are so many hidden things that you kind of have to hunt for, and I will say I'm going to make this kind of brief because it's partly my fault for not really doing as much research as I probably could have done, but mainly when it comes to the food. I didn't know, at least until like halfway into my cruise, that other than like the main dining option or going to like the Windjammer, there are a lot of other places that offer at the bare minimum free breakfast on board, like the Solarium Bistro, the cafe, the Park Cafe in the Central Park area of the ship, Johnny Rockets. All of them had free breakfast available on board the ship at any time for every single passenger. Now, I'm sure there is a lot more things to uncover when it comes to Royal Caribbean. However, I just thought that maybe it should be advertised a little bit more as far as what is free and, you know, what is not free. People want to know right out of the gate what it is that they're paying for. Again, I will personally take responsibility to a certain extent because maybe I should have dove into the treasure trove of mysterious, amazing things that you get on board Royal Caribbean ships. However, I just wish things were out there a little bit more and available for guests. That was just like not something you had to hunt for. For number 3, I absolutely hated the overall vibe on board Wonder of the Seas. Now, I will say this, I understand full well that obviously Royal Caribbean is not Carnival Cruise Line, they're not the party cruise line, they're not the fun cruise line. I believe that Royal Caribbean is in the variety option and it gives a little bit of something for literally everybody that sails on board. However, I believe that the vibe and the way that it's built up, the structure is very important. Starting off with the sail away party, I would assume that for the largest cruise ship in the world and it being its inaugural sailing, that things would have been a little more exciting. Because when we were out there, I believe that maybe the cruise director should play a bigger role in kind of guiding people as far as what the overall, mood is going to be for the ship. The cruise director wasn't really out there. There was just your typical tropical band that was just out of reach. So they couldn't give even an intimate feel as they were on like the deck 16 as opposed to 15 down where people were actually, over by the Lido deck and in the pool partying and stuff. And then whenever everybody was on board the ship, it was kind of like everybody was separated and doing their own thing. Now, people were extremely social, especially to me because, well, you guys know I'm a content creator. I do have one of the largest cruise ship channels on YouTube. But still, either way, guys, it was just kind of one of those things where I was just like, man, I just wish that there was a little bit more guidance for everybody as far as like, how people were going to feel about this particular cruise instead of everybody kind of fending for themselves. Either way, guys, just keep in mind that when I'm talking about these things, it is my opinion. And of course, I did talk and interview a lot of other passengers that were on board, and there were a lot of people that kind of felt the same way. But again, want to make it clear, I know full well, not a Carnival cruise, not expecting some giant crazy party. I was just expecting a little more as far as just keeping the mood and vibe somewhat positive and a little bit more energetic on board Wonder of the Seas. For number 4, we got to talk about the ridiculous upsells with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. So I will say right out of the gate, hats off to Royal Caribbean for making all of their, for the most part, onboard activities free. The zip line is free. Flow Rider, their surfing simulator is free. The laser tag was free. The ice skating was free. All this stuff was really cool to have on board Royal Caribbean ships. However, when it came to things like the restaurants, the excursions, and in particular the drink package, I was not impressed. So just looking at the drink package alone, I did look at it prior to my inaugural sailing on board Wonder of the Seas. It was like $70 per person plus an automatic 18% gratuity added. Now, this is usually somewhat of a standard when it comes to a lot of these cruises. They usually range around the $50 per day to up to $80 per day. However, just looking at it for myself and my girlfriend Lauren, it came out to, with again everything added gratuity, about $1,200. Now, me personally, as somebody that cruises quite a bit, especially this year, I got like 20 cruises this year. I can't justify doing that for this cruise or any other cruise, mainly for the simple fact that I'd be working a lot. And well, let's be honest, a lot of people said they were going to be buying me drinks, which I appreciate everybody, by the way. because I never had a drink not in my hand. It was absolutely insane. I didn't plan for that though. But either way, guys, just looking at everything when it comes to the scenario with the drink package, I do believe that yes, the cruise lines have to make their money. Maybe they could go a little bit cheaper, but that would cause, yes, more customers to buy into the drink package. But of course, there is the supply issue. Maybe they could run out of drink, stuff of that nature. Maybe have an option, and this is something a lot of people were talking about, have an option where maybe you can buy or 1, 2, 3 days worth of drink packages, because typically what I would see with a lot of people that book the drink package for the entire cruise, usually for the first couple days they have no problem getting their money, their fill of like $70 worth of drinks, and then in the middle of the cruise they kind of have to force themselves to get their money's worth because, well, they don't want to drink that much. Even though yes, there are people out there that can drink $70 to $80 worth of drinks on board the ship. But either way, guys, that's just something I think maybe Royal Caribbean or cruise lines as a whole should probably look at down the road. But I mean, probably not. They're making money either way. I also want to talk about the restaurants. In particular, let's say like the Mason Jar, the brand new, extremely hyped up restaurant on board Wonder of the Seas. For lunch, I think it was like $25 a person, and then dinner was like $40 a person. Now, I get it, to the average Joe, that doesn't seem like a lot. However, on board these ships, these prices add up very, very quickly. I mean, maybe if it was at a point where they were charging like $10 for breakfast or brunch and then like $20, it would be a little bit more obviously cost effective to the customer, and it would entice people to go in a little bit more to explore these options. But for me, I didn't hear anything good about Mason Jar. Again, I heard it was a lot of hype. So personally, I did not go. Now, we also got to talk about the excursions. In particular, I do want to talk about Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Beautiful island, definitely beats out the rest of the private islands, whether it be Great Stirrup Cay or Ocean Cay with MSC. However, when it came to things like Thrill, the water park, it was $100 a person. So for me, it would have been $200 for both myself and my girlfriend Lauren, which yes, I could have afforded it. However, I come from a theme park background. I've been to some of the best theme parks in the world, and Royal Caribbean has a bunch of water slides on their ship. So why would I go from Wonder of the Seas with water slides to then go pay an additional $200 for another park? Now, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get in there for free at some point toward the end of my day at Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I do believe that maybe that probably should be jacked down. You know, I get it, the upsell, they got to make money. This is the business model. However, if you charge people that have paid for the cruise already and then you take them to your private island so you can kind of, you know, pocket pretty much double the amount of money or whatever, pocket some more money, you should maybe bring it down to like $20 per adult, maybe $10 for kids. And that way you can have more people come and enjoy the experience without feeling like they're getting, you know, robbed. So now that you've almost survived another episode of The Ship Life, guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, all I ask is that you hit that like button and as well as subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay updated whenever I post more videos like this, which will be frequent this year because I have a ton of cruises, especially a lot of inaugural, brand new, large cruise ships that you guys are probably going to want to know about. Now, for the fifth thing and final thing that I hated on board Wonder of the Seas was the entertainment. Now, I'm going to go all in on this one, guys, because as most of you know, and for all the new people out there, I do have a big entertainment background. I used to work for NCL and Carnival as an entertainer. I worked for theme parks like Universal Studios, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens as well. I've done a lot of touring contracts as well, like working for companies like the Harlem Globetrotters. So I have a, unfortunately and fortunately, entertainment background where I have a switch where I just can't turn things off. I analyze pretty much everything that's going on when it comes to entertainment shows and pretty much that entire aspect of entertainment. Now, I want to say that I was legitimately blown away, and not in a good way, when it came to Wonder of the Seas, because I've always known Royal Caribbean to have some of the most amazing shows, some of the most diverse shows at sea. However, what I got was trash. Looking at the entertainment as a whole, you would think that you would be blown away on the largest cruise ship on planet Earth. Royal Caribbean has the money, they have the budget, they have the talent, they have the manpower. They can make great shows. But starting off, I will say that there were things that were just naturally out of the control of Royal Caribbean due to, of course, the pandemic we've been dealing with, supply chain issues, and just getting all their props. This in particular happened with their ice show over in Studio B 365. Now, I will say that show was absolutely amazing, and I love ice skating shows. I have a friend that used to work for Royal Caribbean. She showed me clips and stuff, so I was excited to see a live ice show on board a cruise ship for the first time in my life. Now, the thing about this show was that, unfortunately, they didn't have all the set pieces for their show. They announced it at the beginning of the show, but also when it came to the pandemic, all the performers had just gotten there in February. They then had a 10-day quarantine. The inaugural sailing was on March 4th, so they had about 3 weeks to prepare a show, and it was absolutely amazing. Another show that I ended up seeing was like this tap dance show. I forgot the name of it. It was in the main theater on board Wonder of the Seas, and honestly, it was okay. It kind of brought me back to when I was working for NCL. There was a tap dance show that I was in, and what really saved the show overall for me was like this bone breaker guy. It was kind of creepy the way he moved around, but it made like an interesting element to add to the show. I also saw this show Voices that was also in the main theater. I had a friend of mine that I used to work at this theme park with. He was actually a singer in the show, but I didn't find out until like halfway through my cruise. Hadn't seen him in years. The show was great overall, but they had like these creepy faces or something like that. It was like a singing show, but they had like this women singing and men singing and children singing like kind of in the background on like a screen. It's like props. It didn't really fit the vibe of the actual show for me. Now I got to go all in on this one. There was a magic show, which I was really excited for. Personally, I love magic. The kid in me comes out, like I'm sure it does for all of you out there. You had the cruise director come out and they had this video play for like 15 minutes, hyping this man up and even comparing him to Houdini of all people, right? The guy comes out and literally all he did for the entire show, which is an absolute snooze fest, most boring thing I've ever seen in my life for the most part. They had him do some card tricks on a projector, and then he did a couple coin tricks, and that was the show. I fell asleep like 3 times. Asked my girlfriend Lauren. It was bad. And the audience, I think we all felt the same way. We were expecting to be blown away. It was a full house, especially after seeing the tap dance show and Voices, and well, we were extremely disappointed. There was also like a parade type deal going on, or at least a rehearsal for the actual parade. So basically, pretty much every morning during the sailing, there was some massive parade that looked kind of like a Disney parade, but I thought it was actually going to take place. When I talked to them, asked them when the parade was because I wanted to see it, they told me it wouldn't be taking place until next cruise. Now, for me personally, I get it when it comes to rehearsal, especially on a cruise ship, as I've already worked on ships. I understand how the rehearsal process works, and you gotta actually be like out on the field and be on the actual stage that you're gonna be performing on at a certain point to get acclimated to it. However, it's kind of like, for me, a slap in the face for everybody that's on the current sailing, because all Royal Caribbean is saying is, hey, look at this really cool show that you and your kids and your family will actually enjoy, but you don't get to see it because you're too broke or too cheap or you didn't want to pay for the next cruise. It was just very strange for me. The nightlife was definitely up and down. Overall, I enjoyed it because while I'm a professional breakdancer, if there isn't a party, I promise you I'm going to do my best to make one happen, as most of you know. Now, as far as the overall events when it came to the club, they had it in the attic pretty much every day. That's where they also had like the comedy show. It was, again, up and down. They had a night like a hush party. Pretty much it's like a silent disco where you put on some earphones. There were 2 sets of DJs. You can switch back to 1 and 2 to depending on what you wanted to hear. We had one of those. We also had like a red night in Studio B where they had the ice skating rink, which turned out to be really fun. That was a great time. We also had this event like when we were in Nassau where they had the Freedom of the Seas, and we also had Wonder of the Seas. They had this Michael Jackson contest that I won. I had a really great time. The drinks were free. But overall, on most nights, things were kind of boring, and the DJs really weren't that good. So I would say maybe Royal Caribbean needs to step it up in that category because you got to come with it, especially when you're sailing out of the Miami area. I said this for MSC and Virgin Voyages as well because their DJs were, well, they weren't that good. Now, finally, let's talk about the main entree, the Aqua Show, known as Intense on board Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. Now, this is the first all-women featuring Olympian athletes, athletes from the actual Olympics that are in the show for you to see at sea. It's the first one. But I was really hyped up about this. Royal Caribbean hyped this show up as well. You had performers that were rehearsing pretty much throughout the entire time prior to their opening show, and well, it bombed. I'll explain in a minute. Now, the thing is, when you look at this show, it was undoubtedly the main show available on board. I have a friend of mine, her name is Lawrence, not gonna be confused with my girlfriend Lauren. She's also French, but she's Canadian French. I've known her for years, and I've been watching her feature clips all over social media, and I was just so excited to finally see an Aqua Show on board a Royal Caribbean ship because I heard it will absolutely blow you away. Now, when we finally got to the show, unfortunately, it was kind of a little bit of a rocky sea day, so they gave us like 5 minutes of the show, and again, I was just shocked at how amazing the show was, even though I only saw 5 minutes of it. So they rebooked us to come back another day, and I was just extremely excited, and they decided that they were going to just cut the show again, give us an extra 5 minutes of the show, and that was it. Now, here's the thing. I understand full well, again, inaugural sailing, I don't have to sound like a broken record and repeat this, it's inaugural sailing, things are going to go wrong. But coming from an entertainment perspective, you cannot, absolutely cannot hype up the main show on board and then only show a piece of it, especially when it's something that is on all of the Oasis class ships, because you have people that I can guarantee you specifically came on that ship just to see the Aqua show because they've seen it on all the other Oasis class ships. I just personally think that this could have been handled another way. I've heard things like they couldn't rehearse and work on the show while the ship was doing a transatlantic voyage because the ship was so rocky and all the other factors in play, but at the same time, there were other options. Send the workers or the performers to other ships, send them to the facility over in Miami. I've seen that facility. I know there's a way to make it work. There was just so many other ways that they could have gone about it, but the only thing they did was give us like more 5 minutes of an additional 5-minute show that we had already seen, featuring a tightrope guy and a juggler, which the guy was extremely talented, but it was a little weird too. But either way, guys, I did thoroughly enjoy the show. I just wish I could have seen more of it, and unfortunately now I have to go back over to Wonder of the Seas at some point just to watch the show again. Very disappointing. So to conclude this video, I do want to say that overall I thoroughly enjoyed my cruise. If you guys saw any of my 16 videos and my vlogs that I put out, you will see that there is 100% proof of that. However, I do believe that when it comes to my platform and me just kind of letting you guys know how I feel about certain situations in my cruise, I should look at things objectively, meaning I should look at both sides, be it the good, the bad, and of course the ugly. I am brutally honest because I believe that that's what you guys do want. If I came out here and made everything look like Disney 24/7, I don't think you guys will really be watching my channel. So I just want to put that out there, guys. I will have another video coming out within either tomorrow or the coming days, showcasing the things that I absolutely loved about Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. I could also make a part 2 about things that I like, little nitpicky things here and there, but I just want to say, if you guys have not been on a Royal Caribbean ship, if you've not been on Wonder of the Seas, I suggest you definitely take a chance, maybe book it, and you'll actually see what I'm talking about. I had a great time. Either way, guys, let me know your thoughts. If you were on Wonder of the Seas, if you sailed, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know your feedback. Do you agree with anything I said? Do you disagree? Just let me know. Hit that like button on your way out, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.